Alright, well, welcome back everybody. This is going to be a bit of a random video, kind of not along any particular line, but I got a request in the last live stream I did to do a bit of a walk around, or I guess a tour of the shop here and the various projects I'm working on. I thought I'd start the video here with this payloader. It's a Huff, I think it's an H25 payloader. I've gotten a few questions on it because some people have seen it in the background of some of my other videos. It's an interesting little machine. It's got a 4-cylinder Waukesha diesel engine, but I don't know if that's original to it. It might have been a gas engine originally. It's a 180 DLC Waukesha. But it runs, it drives, hydraulics work. It's been a kind of an ongoing project, and I'm actually at the point where I think I might want to sell it. I don't know if I really have a use for it anymore. I was going to use it as a forklift back when I lived at the last house, which was a much smaller property, and something like this would be easier to maneuver. But I don't really think I have a use for it anymore, and I don't know if I'm going to finish it. So if anybody is interested in this thing, please send me an email or get in touch with me. My email is on the under the contact tab on my channel, and give you some more information about it. Let's walk around it real quick, and then we'll proceed with the video. These are pretty heavy built machines for their size. Here's the shot of the engine there. Like I said, that runs pretty well. It hasn't run in well over a year, but I believe internally it's in good shape. You got cobwebs on it. I just pulled it out of the barn there. So I also I didn't have the radiator record, but I did have a new bottom made for the radiator and a new oil cooler, a new oil cooler for the transmission installed in the bottom of the radiator. The original was rotted out pretty bad, but you can see it needs work. All the hoses need to be replaced. A couple of the cylinders leak pretty good. Ironically, the one new tire I put on it went down and hopped off the bead. I do have another new tire for it, but fuel tank's in good shape. It's got fuel in it now. I made a new battery rack for it. I have the hood or the cowl that goes over the engine, and the counterweight, which is actually sitting over here on a couple blocks. So, oh yeah, it's got a new hydraulic pump too. Forgot about that. I forget who makes that. I think it's an Eaton, but I had to put that on. The original was just totally worn out. So, again, if anybody's interested, get in contact with me. So, oh yeah, and I have a bucket for it too. Bucket's sitting over there in the weeds. Anyway, so let's take a look at the old scrap yard here. All this stuff has been pulled out of the barn because every year I go through this kind of procedure where late in the winter, early spring, it's certainly not spring now, it's beginning of February, but I kind of pull everything out and thin the herd a little bit and determine what I want to sell this year and what I want to show this year for engine shows. So one thing I would want to show is this Fairbanks single-cylinder diesel here. I don't know if you've ever seen this. It's partially disassembled now at this point, but I'd like to get this running and show it this season. So I'm gonna pull that out from the back, bring it out in the front so I can work on it when I get a chance. Also, the big Witte diesel-electric set here. I'd like to show this again this year. This thing hasn't been started in over a year. It suffered a broken axle, or a cracked axle, you see that? At the last show of, I guess, 2017? Or the next to the last show of 2017, and it's been sidelined ever since. So I'm gonna remake the axles for it. I'm gonna keep the wheels, narrow the axles as well. It's a bit wider than it has to be. And as a result, being so wide, it likes to bounce around if it's not on good solid ground. So get that done for the show season. Get this Fairbanks, I think it's a three home light plant. There it is, right there. So this thing it looks like it was restored at some point, but it needs some help. It's mostly complete. Got some kind of homemade ignition system here in lieu of a magneto, but I think these were buzz coil originally, so I'll have to try to find some information on that. But that's a good project, but it'll be pushed to the back. Maybe next year I'll get to that. Here's another Witte diesel electric plant. This is another, actually the same, pretty much the same thing as the one that's on the cart there. This is an 8 kilowatt 120 240 single phase plant. It's kind of a basket case, although I do have all the parts for it. I bought it in this state that you see it now. Disassembled, loosely assembled. It's another project. I'd like to, at some point in the future, get both of these units running. Well, get this running and the other unit there, and mount them on a single trailer and display them as a pair. But that's a while down the road. And the Bessemer here, of course, most people watch the videos on that. That was at every show last year. Ran pretty well, but it's gonna have to get pushed to the back as the project really is done. So that'll probably come out maybe one show this year, but probably not till next year. Let's see, I've got this light plant here, the light tower generator. I made a video on that a while ago. Let's walk over here. Got this Deutz generator. I used to run the lathe and the milling machine with this because I didn't have three-phase power where I used to live. I still don't have three-phase power at this residence, but at least I have a 240 volt circuit out to the garage, which allows me to run a phase converter. So don't really need this anymore. Well, I don't want to say I don't need it, but I guess I don't really need any of this stuff, but I'd like to keep it. Runs pretty well. So, and I've had some questions about this little thing too. I call this the putt-putt tractor. It's the carcass or the remains of the frame of a Bohlins, maybe a 1050, if I remember correctly. I bought that tractor, it was semi-complete. The engine had been bored, but it was bored incorrectly, so it kind of grenaded itself. So instead of trying to replace that engine and make the thing, you know, an original tractor, I stripped everything off that wasn't necessary, and I put this big single-cylinder Wisconsin on it. What is this? It's an AFH. So not Wisconsin's biggest single-cylinder, but pretty good size. And it just runs pretty much at an idle, and it can pull whatever I need it to pull around here. Pull the trailers around, get stuff in and out of the barn. Makes it a bit easier. Let's take a walk over here. Well, there's my my 20 kilowatt Onan natural gas plant that I want to install at the house. That really doesn't need any work. A couple other things over here. This is a 4 or 5 kilowatt Kohler genset. Yeah, it's 4 kilowatt. I've got a lot of versions of this this particular unit. You know, Waukesha FC engine and these big 1200 RPM Kohler generator ends. But this one happens to be in an outdoor enclosure, and I have the side panels for it as well, so I couldn't pass that up when I saw it come up for sale. So it turns over, it needs work though, like everything. This Westinghouse motor, made a video on this a couple of years ago. Haven't done anything with it since. It's a 3-phase wound rotor induction motor. Might be neat to power up once I get the cat done. What else? Oh, I missed a few things over here. I missed this little Fairbanks engine. This is a 6 to 7 horsepower Fairbanks Z. It's an industrial Z. I think that's why they rate the horsepower so high. Oh no, 7 to 8 horsepower. Wow. Huh. I have a small belt drive generator. I'd like to put the two of these, put that, or pair that with this engine, and I don't know. I don't know what I would do with it, but I want to do it as a project. And then here's another one of those old Kohlers. The generator end's not mounted on this one. Actually, the generator end for this Kohler is sitting right there on the Fairbanks frame. So anyway, it's another 4 kilowatt with the Waukesha FC engine. This one's fairly complete. Radiator's got a big dent in the top though. It's not the end of the world. So that's pretty much it for out here. I think the barn's pretty much empty at this point. Like I said, I usually like to pull everything out and take stock. Yeah. Just a couple odds and ends left in here. Here's a homemade log splitter that was given to me. Another engine buddy of mine, him and his dad made this thing many years ago. It's got a single cylinder Wisconsin there. It's all homemade out of random parts. So, got a pretty heavy I-beam frame there. I'd like to get that running someday. I don't really have a use for it because I don't have a wood stove or a functioning fireplace. So, I'm not sure what the fate of that's going to be. Got my pile of old well pump tanks. I like to save these and use them as engine cooling tanks for small antique engines. That one's got a riveted seam on it there, and so does this one here. So these usually stand upright. Of course, they don't just lay in a pile like this. If I had to move them out of the way. Nothing really over here. Alright, well, let's take a walk up to the main shop or the garage up there. Hey, you know what? No, let's stop off and see more stuff. Forgot about this. So here's a trailer load of stuff I brought home yesterday. I had all this in storage during the move from the old house to the new house here. So I just brought it home. Been in storage over a year, or at least a year. We'll start with this thing. Big Van Severin. It's a single-cylinder, two-stroke diesel. I don't know the history of it. I was told it came out of a boat. Big marine engine. Could be. It's interesting. It's air start. It turns over. It's full diesel as well. It's not like a hot head or a hot tube engine. So, anxious to get this running at some point. Again, don't know when that'll be, but it'll be someday. Oh, look, here's another one of these Kohlers. Got this is another 4 kilowatt, I think. 1200 RPM with the Waukesha engine. This one has had a record radiator at some point. So, it's a nice little generator. And then I got this bit larger generator. This is a 10 kilowatt 12240 unit. It's a ex-military unit, but I forget the designation right now. Got a big Hercules inline 6, which is pretty rough. The thing is locked up, but I think it looks worse than it actually is. But I've been wrong before. Made by US Motors. It's got an interesting radiator design. It's got a hole through the center where you'd pass a crank handle through. The engine, the radiator fan is mounted directly on the crankshaft instead of being mounted up higher, you know. Interesting. Alright, let's walk over to the garage. Oh yeah, forgot about this. This is a Case 580 Construction King forklift that I picked up back in the summertime. You need this kind of stuff to move all this heavy stuff around. You need this kind of equipment. Pretty much everything I own is heavy, so you gotta have a big forklift to move it around. It's a gas engine, but hey, does the job. It's worn and tired, but like I said, still gets the job done and moves things around that I need it to move. Alright, let's take a walk through the garage here, through the main shop. It's kind of a mess. I didn't straighten any of this up for the video. This is its natural state, I guess you could say. So, my large air compressor that it's not hooked up yet permanently, but this is going to replace this little dinky Craftsman thing that I've been using for years. This is the control panel for that Whitty diesel electric plant, the one that's on the cart. And the big cat generator. A lot of people have been keeping up with those videos. It's kind of a mess in here right now, but my main workbench here, got a bunch of stuff laid out on it. Shelves underneath full of more stuff. Sometimes I think I have too much stuff. And more shelves. Just random things on those. A couple old meters, a couple battery chargers, lanterns and things like that. And more stuff. A couple Onan generators here. Actually, yeah, quite a few actually. My welder generator. Here's an old Delco light plant. This is an interesting one. Tucked back here in the corner. Got a piece of tape on it. Pretty neat. This is an air-cooled 4-cylinder Delco. Pretty cool little unit. Don't see many of these at the shows. You see more of the single-cylinder Delcos. And then here's that V4 Onan sitting back here in the corner, hiding. The 2-cylinder Onan here. One I just picked up. The little one I made a video on. This is the 10LS. More cat parts. Kind of weaving my way through here. The 305CK I redid a little while ago. Here's the control panel for that parts Whitty diesel. It's pretty much the same thing as the other one. Could use a little TLC though. Next to it is a 4-horsepower oil well supply. This is a hit and miss engine. It's air cooled and it's hot tube ignition. 4 horsepower there. I think there's it's got the, yeah, there you go. Oil Well Supply Company, Pittsburgh. So, that's on the list of projects. Got to get that done. Let's step into the side room here. So, I'd like to make this my machine shop area. I got the lathe, the milling machine, and the little horizontal mill set up. So this area is not at all insulated. I would like to kind of insulate this area and brighten it up, put some new lighting in here. Get everything so I could actually use the machinery. Everything's just sitting here, not powered right now. So got a little workbench out here, a little sandblast cabinet, shelves, random stuff on it. So, and then it's kind of a mess on this side. Got the big 30 kilowatt load bank there. More generator parts. Here's a Kohler generator end. This is a 10 kilowatt generator end. A number of years ago I made a video concerning the engine from this thing. I think it was old Kohler generator, and the engine was pretty much junk on that. Got my little single cylinder Whitty diesel here. This is either a 5 or a 6 horsepower unit. I don't believe it ever had a generator on it, but this makes a good showpiece. It runs really well. Then got a little 2 horsepower Hercules here. It's really my only hit and miss engine I have left. You know, true hit and miss engine. So, but yeah, just a bunch of stuff. Drill press, grinder, toolbox. More bits and pieces that need to be put away. Need to have a home. So outside, we got this large Onan gen set under cover here. Can't really show you anything on it. It's a 140 kilowatt Onan, built 1965, I believe. It's got a Rolling V8, 884 cubic inch. So, big V8 gas engine. And right next to it, or in front of it here, this is a International Harvester UD16 power unit. Should have uncovered this stuff beforehand for you. UD16 power unit. That engine was, this engine was actually given to me. It was locked up when I got it, but it does turn over now. Got the valve covers off of it. So, a little bit of a project. Not sure what I'm going to do with it when it's done, but it'll be fun getting it running. And on the other side of the garage, I have this thing sitting over here, which I really need to get it put indoors. This is that International generator set. It's got the UD16 engine and the 50 kilowatt generator end. It's the same engine as the one I just showed you. This one's in a little bit better condition. Pretty much turns over, ready to run, but need to take a look at the electrical end of it. So I guess that's about it. That's the shop tour. Quick and easy. One take. Got a little mezzanine up the top there. More stuff being stored. Oh yeah, don't make any comments about my lights here. These are all temporarily hung, so I can figure out where exactly I want them. They're these LED shop lights that you can buy on Amazon. And it's funny, they each have their own little switch, but they're all strung up temporarily with their own cords, just so I can get an idea of how I want to go with the lighting in here. Got 3 more of them here. Doesn't look very bright in here now because it's daylight out, but at night it really brightens the place up. So, guess that's all for now. Stay tuned. I'll get some more video on the cat when I get a chance to work on it.